How's it going, YouTube? Coming today with another video, and today, guys, what the video is going to be state of the game. Now, this is a little bit different than what you're used to. Usually I have a lot of slides, but this is going to be a little bit more of a free-form conversation. I do think that it's really important to go ahead and talk about where we're at right now, talking about what the larger issues are. If we don't get a ban list, what happens? If we do get a ban list, what happens? So let's talk about quite a bit. Definitely go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And down below in the top of the description, there is a link to go ahead and support me to go to Nats. It's a donation link. It's never required. Definitely go ahead and do that if you would like to, though. I definitely appreciate it. It's going to be a great time. I need to pick up a lot of cards. So hopefully I'm able to get everything in time for Nats. Definitely going to be a lot of fun playing something that is not tier for once, you know. So we'll definitely go ahead and see how that all goes. Let's go ahead and talk about where we're at in the game, though. It's pretty obvious that we have Fiendsmith cards coming in. The Fiendsmith cards are really crazy, especially paired with the Snake-Eye cards, being able to use a lot of the equip cards from the Fiendsmith cards as fodder for things like the sends to summon Flame Barrage. Pretty crazy. Snake-Eye rolls really well into the Fiendsmith engine as well. Closed Heaven is just going to be an issue. We did get this announcement a couple days ago, which is definitely going to be very interesting to see. Very, very cool card. The fact that we don't use it for anything except the fact that it's a light fiend. Kind of hilarious, to be honest, but we'll see how this goes off into our current metagame. If we do get a ban list, I do think that we'll see something happen pretty dramatic, like a oak ban and like a limit to wanted. A lot of people want to see Flame Barrage ban because it's just new age block dragon. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think that that card is just going to be around, especially trying to push product and trying to see the deck at least be able to thrive into the new format that will create. But overall, I could see the Flame Barrage get banned, but I think more likely we'll see like an Oak ban and like a limit to wanted to make the deck still playable. I do think that Snake will be the best deck through a ban list, but I do think that Yubel has a good chance of sneaking on up. The deck does a lot off one card, so does Snake. One Bonfire, we just saw, got our opponent very far. In a previous game on stream. If you're not already checking out my streams, definitely go ahead and check them all out down below in the description as well. We stream like 6 out of 7 days in a week right now, testing for Nat, so we're going to be online a lot. Can't wait to see you over here. Another thing that the Fiendsmith engine really does allow for is the abuse of Beatrice, which I think is pretty absurd more times than not, because one of the things that you can do actually is dump a card called Angel of Blue Tears. This card allows you to banish this card from your grave and set a normal trap directly from your hand or deck if you have burn damage happen. So if effect damage is inflicted, which is easy when you can go ahead and dump this and then link this off with Lacrimosa as material, Lacrimosa will burn and then this can activate. And then also, if this card was set from the hand, it can be activated this turn. This card's pretty absurd. It's very good in allowing for things like Deck Devi, D-Barrier, whatever you realistically want to set. Black Goat Labs is another good card that we're seeing, especially off things like Beatrice. You can send Shufflers off Beatrice. You can send a lot of things to go ahead and help out going first. And then if you're going second, obviously this is something that is just an extender. If you need to summon it, usually going second, you don't have to. But even in Yubel, you're just dumping like the Samsara to go into Muckraker and combo that way. But this engine does allow for a lot and a lot of free extenders. One of the things that you really want to make sure that you're on top of is DD Crow. DD Crow is very, very solid. If your opponent goes Tractus and adds Larry, sends Larry effect, and you Crow it, a lot of times you can make things very awkward. So I definitely heavily recommend DD Crow as a good form of an answer to the Fiendsmith cards. Obviously, Close Guy is still around, so you got to make sure that you can stop them going into this as well. If you have one Imperm, I'm probably just saving it for Sequentia. It's just going to be your best bet. Usually, also, there's a couple of really degen things that need answering. Calamity and Sanctifier. These cards just got to go. They're just not healthy for the overall game state. The Sanctifier being able to do puppet things, we've already seen it do extremely well at 2 of the Nats already. At least 2 Nats. It's just going to be around and be a pretty crazy deck. And that's a double-edged sword because I like there to be a deck that you don't need the crazy new cards for, but I think that if there is a ban list, they do ban the Sanctifier to force you to buy the crazy new cards. So we'll see how that goes. And then also the Calamity Lock is just degen. It's really interesting how with Calamity, we're just seeing a lot of these different builds of like Yubel, Kashira, Centurion. We're seeing like Blackwing Centurion. Every single way that you can just kind of splash this in to make this into a pretty crazy lockout combo. The other thing too is I still hear complaints about Appaloosa. Just learn how to play through it. The card's very good. Play the steel cards in your side deck like everyone will be at the event. It's going to be fine. Appaloosa is fine. It's not going anywhere. I don't believe this is going to get banned, but a lot of people still complain about this card. It's fine. Whitewood is going to be another deck that we're going to see around. This is definitely going to be an interesting one. The deck can combo through quite a lot. Definitely one of the underdogs for the event, but I do think this will be a contender moving forward. I don't think that we'll see more than 1 or 2 in Top Cut, but I do think that it will kind of wiggle its way into Top Cut somehow. The toy box cards are a very good engine to be playing with these. Just another way to really be able to crack through boards, especially being able to like set the toy box cards and then have something like Droplet, right? So very, very cool. And then me personally, I do hope they hit Shifter. I still think this is like degen as hell. I really don't like this card. I think that it'll be better though if they address a lot of the better decks and then they hit Shifter on top of that as well to kind of balance out the format. Even if it's like Shifter to 2, I think it's fine. Definitely one of those things that I just hate. I think this card is so dumb. It just creates so many non-games, and I don't like that. Overall, though, I've been asked a lot about how I feel about the format moving forward and how I feel about going to Nationals. I think that we're in a game state right now where, like, it's not as bad as people think it is. Now, let me preface that, because I know a lot of people are just, like, crossing their arms already. I think that it's bad that we're forced to drop a ton of money on cards the weekend of, right? So you have to like go to Sneak Peek and like find these cards and like hope that you can find them before the tournament, right? And I think that is degen. I think that is not okay. That is something that shouldn't happen. But so I like to believe that things are just going to be how they are, right? So like there's no point in complaining about something that we already know that that's how it's about to be, how it is. So I think that overall, if we just have to accept the fact that like we need to get these cards to play, I think if we're looking at the format objectively with them in the format, I think that the Fiendsmith cards are very cool and honestly very fun if you're playing with them in a deck that really does abuse them well, like Snake-Eye, like Yubel. There's a couple other decks out there that can use them very well too. I think that I genuinely, I've had a ton of fun learning Yubel and playing like Yubel Fiendsmith, that from a format perspective, I think that the format is fine. Outside of a couple small hits to Snake could be very well liked. Just to make sure that every deck, at least in the Fiendsmith format, has a better shot at doing well. Because if you just balance out all the Fiendsmith decks by hitting Snake and then everything is kind of like in the same tier, even though Snake will probably still be higher, it's just going to make for a lot better interactive games. Because still a lot of back and forth, and with the steel cards post side, being able to steal a Light Fiend and go right into combo is pretty nice. So I think overall, the format's going to be a lot of fun. It's no use in complaining about how expensive the cards are going to be, because trust me, I'm in the same boat. I still have to get them myself, and I don't want to have to shell out what I have to for these cards. But that's the reality of it, and I think that we have to look at the game from a standpoint of how is the game going to play. And I think that we definitely need a hit from Snake for sure, like something. But overall, the gameplay of the highest level has been a lot of fun, at least for testing. Even playing like the tier cards with like Fiendsmith and Horus has been pretty cool. I'm not going to bring tier, I don't believe. That could change, but I don't think so. Overall, but there are a lot of cards that do need an answer. Things like Skill Drain still need an answer. We need an answer for this for sure. I hate playing against this so much, and they're being under a branded Lost. Like, if they're not going to ban this in any capacity, at least ban Lost. Like, it's just so dumb not being able to interact with your opponent. But overall, I do think that, like, the format itself, I'd say, like, a 7 out of 10. I think it'll be pretty fun. I want to Doom post so bad about this format, but, like, the more I play it, the more enjoyable it actually is. So definitely let me know down below in the comments what you think about the format. I think that it is definitely, again, very degen, that we have to get these cards very quickly, and that Snake definitely needs a hit, But beside that, I'm actually enjoying the game again. So like, it depends on how you look at it. Very old quote from Crush Cards. Brian was talking to me, and he essentially just said that the game is what you make it. And if you can find a way to enjoy the format, then enjoy the format. If you want to doom post and not enjoy the format, then don't enjoy the format. Like, take a break if you need to, which is fine. Taking breaks aren't bad, but like, this is also nationals. So like, if you want to do well, unfortunately, either find the counter to the Fiendsmith cards, like playing even Exo Sister, honestly, is like a pretty solid counter right now with Shifter and then all the Grave Manipulation. I think that's another deck that even we saw Steven Santoli last year win the playoffs by playing Exo in a very wild format because it was just a good meta call. So there are good meta calls out there, but either find the meta call or you got to play the crazy deck, right? So unfortunately, that's just one thing that we have to accept moving forward. I hope to see as many of you as possible at Nationals. If you see me, come up to me, come say hello. I would love to meet you all. It's going to be such an amazing time, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you all so much. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all later.